What is going on, college basketball fans? Today we got a bracketology update for February 7th. We're going to get into it and break it all down. I just want to say subscribe if you guys are new. We do a ton of college basketball content here on the channel. You don't want to miss it. And hit that like button if you guys enjoy, so I know you guys want to see more bracketology updates and breakdowns here on the channel. So we're here on teamrankings.com, a website that I use quite a bit. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. But it gives us its full projected field, all the 1 seeds, all the way down to the 16 seeds right now. And it also gives us the teams that, it has as close to making it right now. So we'll check out the bubble teams here at the end for sure. And then we want to look at the biggest gainers and losers for the week as well. And then we can get a conference breakdown, see how many teams from each conference are currently projected in the field of 68. So I'm ready to get it started. We'll start off here with our 1 seeds. We have Alabama, Houston, Purdue, and Tennessee. Tennessee as a 1 seed is interesting. They have 3 not so great losses on the season, including one coming this week to Florida. They've also lost to Kentucky. They've also lost to Colorado. And I guess Kentucky isn't too bad of a loss, but the Colorado and the Florida losses, not so great there at all. I would probably have the top Big 12 team, which right now, in my opinion, would be Kansas as a 1 seed over Tennessee, just because the Big 12 is so much, it's just the best league in college basketball. I believe the best team in the best league deserves a 1 seed instead of having 2 SEC teams in here right now. But Alabama as the top overall seed, I'm fine with that. All 3 of their losses, are not too bad of a lot of losses, except for the Oklahoma one, which was pretty bad. But their other 2 coming to Gonzaga and also UConn, both on a neutral site court. Not too bad of losses there. And they also have a really, really good win over Houston on the road, which I think definitely jumps them up to the top overall seed. And as you can see, it also gives you how good of a chance they think these teams have of making the field at this point. And there's quite a few teams that are already 100% chance to get in, and also gives you their chance of getting a 1 seed. So right now, Alabama 88% chance of getting a 1 seed. I think I agree with that. I mean, they're undefeated in SEC play, undefeated at home. Very impressive season so far for the Crimson Tide, and I think they definitely deserve the top overall seed right now. Right behind them, we have Houston, a team that Alabama beat. They've been playing really good as of late. Definitely deserves a 1 seed at this point. Purdue still deserves a 1 seed. They were probably the top overall seed before that loss to Indiana, and they could have actually still won that game against Indiana if they didn't turn the ball over so much. But they definitely deserve to still be at the 1 line. So I'm fine with all these. I would probably have Kansas over Tennessee at this point. Let me know what you guys think about that. But our 2 lines, we have a lot of Big 12 teams coming up here. All the top Big 12 teams are 2 to 4 lines at this point. And we have 3 Big 12 teams at the 2 line. We have Kansas, Texas, Arizona, and Baylor all sitting at the 2 line right now. And I think I agree with this. I mean, I could say I think maybe Arizona could be a little bit higher, but then you think about it, they have 2 probably quad 3 losses in Washington State and Utah. Maybe the Utah one might be considered quad 2, but it's not so great. And then they also lost to Oregon, which isn't the best loss in the world either. But those are their only 3 losses. They also have some really good quad 1 wins against teams like Tennessee, Indiana, and UCLA. Those are 3 really good wins, and they have, they're undefeated in quad 1 games. That's what it is. So Arizona, I think they should maybe be above Texas at this point. And I would probably have Tennessee at the 2 line there with Arizona, but that's just my thoughts. Kansas and Texas just played each other. Kansas won. They're both sitting there at the 2 line. I'm fine with that. Baylor, our last 2 seed, sitting here, and I think I'm fine with Baylor being here at the 2 line as well. They've won 6 of their last 7 all in Big 12 games, those are all like quad 2, quad 1 wins when you're winning all those games in Big 12 play, most of them. So that's really good there by Baylor. I think it helps them a lot that they're playing so well right now in the best conference in college basketball. Now looking at the three lines, we do have Xavier, UCLA, Virginia, and Iowa State. And I think I'm fine with this. The only one that I'm like a little bit don't like is Xavier as the top overall 3 seed. I would definitely have Xavier down at like the 4 line. I don't know. Xavier is a really solid team. They have a really bad loss against DePaul. A really, really bad loss there against DePaul. But their other losses are all, pretty good. And a lot of them coming early in the season against teams like Gonzaga and Indiana. Like, those are not bad losses. And those losses are starting to look better, especially the Indiana loss. But Xavier does have some really good wins also on the season. They've beaten a lot of the top teams there in the Big East. So Xavier, I don't know if I can put them at the 3 line. I would probably have them lower, and I would probably push Kansas State up to the 3 line. I would probably have Kansas State, UCLA, Virginia, and Iowa State at the 3 line, and then I'd have Xavier down at the 4 line with St. Mary's. I would have Marquette higher. We'll get to that because Marquette at the 5 line is crazy. But yeah, I think my 3 seeds right now personally would be UCLA, Virginia, Iowa State, and Kansas State. But now let's get to the 4 lines. We do have Gonzaga, Kansas State, St. Mary's, and also TCU, and I think I'm okay with this. I don't know if I would have Gonzaga and St. Mary's at the 4 seed. I think I would move Gonzaga down to the 5 right now and move Marquette up to the 4. So my 4 lines would probably be, since I'm moving Kansas State up to the 3, I would have St. Mary's, Marquette, TCU, and also Xavier. I think those would be my 4 seeds right now. And but I am okay with this because Gonzaga, even though they have 5 losses on the season, they have, they're all pretty good losses. They've come early in the season against teams like Purdue, St. Mary's recently, and all their losses are pretty good. So I don't mind Gonzaga still being up at the 4 line, but at this point I would probably move them down there to the 5. TCU is interesting. The main reason why it's interesting is because when is Mike Miles going to return, or is Mike Miles going to return? Because that is a big factor in how the rest of their season turns out. And I think the committee will have to see, Mike Miles return to how good he was before, and hate it or love it, that's probably going to affect their seed at the end of the year, whether or not Mike Miles returns. St. Mary's, they've been on a big win streak, undefeated in the West Coast Conference, which I think personally it should be a big help to their seeding, because that is very impressive. The West Coast Conference is not just them and Gonzaga. There are some really, really good teams in that league. So St. Mary's, very impressive. I'm glad to see them up as a 4 seed right now. And Kansas State, like I said, I would probably have them as a 3 seed, swap place with Xavier at this point. They have some really good wins on the season, and all their losses have been good, except for the one early loss to Butler, which I think might be hurting them right now at this point. But let's look at our 5 seeds. We do have Marquette, Miami, UConn, and Rutgers, and I think I'm fine with all of these right now. I think the Big Ten, the way I'm looking at it, is getting some teams, higher than what I anticipated coming into looking at this today. But the Big Ten teams do have some pretty a lot of seeds here in the 5-6 line and even the 7 line. But I'm fine with Rutgers being a 5, and here's why. They have a really, really good quad win on the road against Purdue, and by the end of the year, they might be the only team to say, we beat Purdue in Mackey Arena. So I think that's huge for Rutgers. It's absolutely huge for Rutgers. I'm definitely fine with them being at the 5 line. UConn at the 5 line, they've had a tough struggle, but I think their start to the year and winning that early season tournament really helped them and still keeping them up as high as a 5 seed because they have good wins over teams like Alabama. So I'm fine with them being here. I think that early part of the season is the main reason why they're up this high. Miami, they had a really good week. Last night they just blew out Duke by over 20 points. Really good win. They also have good wins over teams like Virginia, so I'm definitely fine with them being at the 5 line. Marquette sitting at the 5 line. I personally would have them at the 4 line, and I would also have Xavier, who's at the 3, down to a 4. I think Xavier and Marquette should both be 4 seeds right now, but Marquette, they do have them as the top overall 5 seed. I'm fine with that. Early in the season, they have some losses that aren't that great, but in Big East play, they've been playing really good, and they also have a really good win over Baylor, which is going to help them a lot down the stretch, especially how good the Big 12 has been. Another loss that probably doesn't help them a lot right now is that Wisconsin loss. I think if they would have beat Wisconsin right now, they would definitely at least be a 4 seed right now. But now let's take a look at our 6 seeds. We do have San Diego State, Iowa, Indiana, and Creighton. I am fine with this. The only one I don't really like here is Iowa. I don't know about Iowa. They're so wishy-washy, and with how wishy-washy the Big Ten has been this year, Iowa has been one of the most inconsistent teams out of the most inconsistent conference. So I don't know if I quite would have Iowa up at a 6 seed. I think they're way more of like a 7, maybe even an 8 at this point. Like I don't think Iowa should be this high. Let me know what you guys think. But then we have Indiana. Again, they just got a really good quad 1 win against Purdue, so that is huge for them. They also have really good wins, on the road against Xavier early in the year. 2 of their losses are against Kansas and also against Arizona, so those, are not bad losses. So I think that really helps Indiana, and I honestly wouldn't mind them if they had Indiana up as like a 5 seed, but I think 6 is as low as Indiana should be right now. San Diego State, skipped over them. San Diego State sitting at a 6 line. I think they get more respect than a lot of the other top Mountain West teams because they've been consistent over the past few years, which has allowed them to schedule a tougher schedule against like some top level opponents early in the year and join like the Maui tournament early in the year and stuff like that. So they have like those really good non-con wins that help them over these other Mountain West teams. So I'm fine with them sitting at a 6 seed. But they did just lose to Nevada. They have losses against New Mexico when San Diego State was the home team, so that's not great. But we'll see how they finish out the Mountain West. I'm fine with them being a 6 seed right now. The only one I don't like as a 6 is Iowa. I think they should definitely move down. Creighton back up as a 6 seed, and I'm fine with it. Again, looking at the whole season, Creighton had a really good start to the year, and that is going to help them tremendously once we get to the March Madness tournament, and especially because they're playing really good right before March. That is huge because the committee wants to see that you are playing your best basketball heading into March Madness. I think that is a huge factor that the committee uses as well. Now, our 7 seeds, we do have Duke, Providence, Maryland, and Florida Atlantic. I am very surprised to see Florida Atlantic, FAU, still up here around a 7 seed. I think, honestly, I like FAU a lot, but they just have not played the level of competition to be deserving of a 7 seed. I definitely think they should be in the tournament, maybe as an 8 or a 9 or probably a 10. I just don't see them being a 7 seed at this point. Really good record, really good wins over teams like UAB and teams like North Texas, but I just don't know if I trust them enough to put them as high as a 7 right now. But our other 7 seeds, we do have Providence. I'm fine with that. Duke, definitely fine with that. I know they just got beat up by Miami, which is probably a main reason why they dropped, but they did just beat North Carolina and also Wake Forest the couple of games before that. But that Miami loss definitely made them drop down to a 7 seed. Maryland back in the field. I think for a little bit, Maryland was actually out of the field, but they're on a nice little 4-game win streak now, including a win over Indiana. That is huge. Again, like I said, it's good for the committee to see that you're playing your best basketball heading into March Madness. I think that's huge. If Maryland can keep up this win streak, they could actually probably get up to like a 6 or a 5. I'm definitely fine with them being a 7 right now. Providence, I think that they should probably be a 7 right now. I could see them maybe moving up to a 6, but right now I'm fine with them being a 7. The only one I don't really like in this is Florida Atlantic. I think they should be lower. I like FAU. I'm a big fan of mid-major basketball, but they just have not played the level of competition to be deserving of a 7 seed at this point. If they were still, if they didn't take that other loss to UAB recently, I would say, yeah, probably, I could maybe get in, buy into them being a 7 seed, but I think 8, 9, 10 is probably around where they should be right now. Now, our 8 seeds, we do have North Carolina. Definitely agree with them being down as an 8 right now, or maybe even a 9 for North Carolina. Auburn as an 8 seed, definitely agree. They've lost, I think, 3 of their last 4 to Texas A&M, West Virginia, and Tennessee, so that's not great. NC State, as an 8 seed, I actually think that NC State should be higher. I think they should be at least a 7, and probably, I don't know if I could put them at a 6. I think they should be at least a 7. I think NC State should be higher. They've been playing really good as of late, beating some really good teams there in the ACC. I think NC State should be at least a 7 seed right now. Next up, we do have Boise State, our second Mountain West team, and I'm very surprised to see them and also Nevada ahead of New Mexico, so we'll get into that here soon. I personally think New Mexico should be probably up here around a 9 seed, but I see them down there as an 11. But we do have NC State here as an 8 and Boise State here as an 8, and honestly, I agree with all of these. I'm fine with having Boise State as an 8 seed right now. The only thing I would change, I would have NC State as a 7. I would have them in place of Florida Atlantic and move Florida Atlantic probably down to a 9 or a 10. So, but I do think all these teams definitely deserving to be in here right now. But NC State, I think, should be a little bit higher. Now, looking at our 9 seeds, we do have Nevada, another Mountain West team who's gotten 2 really good wins recently over New Mexico and San Diego State. We do have Arkansas. I'm fine with them being around a 9 seed. Illinois, fine with them being around a 9 seed. They've had, similar stories to this game, and Illinois has a really good non-con win over Texas this year, and I'm pretty sure they have a non-con win over UCLA, if I'm not mistaken. It's either UCLA or Baylor, Illinois beat earlier this year. So those are two really good wins for Illinois, which is going to help them, secure their spot into the tournament. And also Kentucky sitting here at a 9 seed. I am fine with that as well. All these 9 seeds, I think I agree with. I think I'm fine with them being here at the 9. Our 10 lines are very interesting. We have my team, West Virginia. We have Oklahoma State. We have Michigan State. And we do have Memphis. So I think I'm fine with all these 10 seeds. I think they all are deserving. The only thing I would say is New Mexico deserves to at least be a 10 seed at this point. If Boise is an 8, Nevada's a 9, New Mexico should be at least a 10. I don't like how they're down at the 11 seed. They should be at least a 10 in place of probably Memphis after their loss to, or you could say maybe Michigan State sitting there at 14-9. They have good losses. I would probably say in place of Michigan State right now. Michigan State should be down at the 11 in place of New Mexico. But we do have our 11 seeds, and of course we do have more 11 seeds because they do have to play in the play-in game. So with the field of 68, we do have more than 4 11 seeds. So we do have Utah State, USC, New Mexico, Texas A&M, Northwestern, and Florida as our 6 11 seeds because 2 of them do have to play in to get into the tournament. And I'm fine with this. I'm definitely fine with this. USC, I do think they've been playing really good lately, but I think playing in the Pac-12 hurts them. So I'm fine with them being down at the 11th spot right now. I would maybe have them as a 10, but I just think playing in, the worst Power 6 league, doesn't help. So that is the main reason USC is down here, but they did get a really good win over UCLA recently. New Mexico as an 11 seed, I already mentioned I would probably have them higher as a 10 seed. Utah State, another Mountain West team that is here at the 11. I'm fine with them being at the 11, but I think New Mexico should be at the 10 line. Texas A&M as the 11 seed, I'm fine with that. I think Texas A&M definitely deserves to be in the tournament the way they have been playing in conference play. Northwestern sitting at the 11, fine with that as well. And Florida sitting at an 11 seed after their win over Tennessee. I do not agree with this at all. Get Florida out of here. They do not deserve to be in the field of 68 whatsoever. Florida needs to get out of here, man. Get out of here with that. I don't think Florida deserves to be in at all. We'll take a look at the bubble teams here in a minute. Quickly, I want to go over some of these lower seeded teams and let you know what I think about them. And then we'll go over some of the bubble teams that I think should be in over Florida. So we do have Yale as a 12 seed. Fine with that if they win the Ivy League. Sam Houston State, they had a good start to the season, but I'm not sure if they really deserve a 12 seed. Dayton as a 12 seed, if they do win the A10 conference, I'm kind of thinking that VCU is going to win the A10 conference, but Dayton does play VCU tonight as I am making this video, so that could cause for changes right there. But I guess I'm fine with the winner of the A10 being a 12, but College of Charleston definitely deserves a 12 seed right now. These other 12 seeds, I'm not sure. I would definitely have teams like Kent State and Oral Roberts, who they have down here as 14 seeds. I would definitely have them as 12 seeds in place of Sam Houston, Dayton, and Yale. So I think Kent State or Roberts definitely deserve higher seeds there. Iona sitting at a 13 seed. Again, I don't think Iona deserves a spot over Kent State or Roberts. Neither does Liberty or Bradley. I guess Liberty I'm fine with being a 13 though. But other than that, this is honestly, everything's looking fine. If these teams win their league, they get in. That's just the way it is. But the only complaint I do have with these mid-major spots, I think the 12 lines should be probably VCU in place of Dayton, College of Charleston, Kent State, and Oral Roberts. And then the 13 line should be Sam Houston State, Iona, Liberty, and probably James Madison. So that's just my personal opinions on that, though. I think they got a little bit sloppy down here towards the end, in my personal opinions. So some of these bubble teams that are close to making it, I definitely think my boys at Marshall are going to win the Conference USA there and get into the tournament. It's either going to be them or Louisiana. I really don't think anyone else is going to get in from that league, but I could be wrong. But I definitely think that Pitt should be in over Florida at this point in the season. I definitely think that Missouri should be in over Florida. Why is Missouri not in the field of 68? That is definitely a major miss there. I would even put Seton Hall in over Florida. Oregon, borderline, but I, might put them in over Florida. I think that one is very close, though. Virginia Tech, same thing with Oregon. I think they're just on the outside. I think Oregon, Virginia Tech, and also Florida should all be out. I would definitely have Pitt, Seton Hall, and definitely Missouri in the tournament over Florida. I would probably even put Penn State in over Florida at this point. I would love to see Jalen Pickett in the tournament. Clemson, I would definitely put in over Florida. So that's just my opinions, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I can't believe Florida is in over teams like Missouri and Clemson. That is insane. But, a few things I disagree with here on this list, but it is definitely fun to look at and break down what other people's opinions are looking like at this point. So let's take a look at our biggest gainers and losers. So Miami, definitely a big gain after, their win over Duke. Pitt, a big gain this week. They swept North Carolina, so I definitely agree with that. I think that they should definitely be in over Florida. So shouldn't Clemson and Missouri. Not sure what's going on there. But also New Mexico, big gainer this week. Wisconsin, not sure how they are a big gainer since they lost to Northwestern, and Northwestern a big gainer due to that. Also, Wake Forest. Let's look at our biggest losers. Wake Forest, a big loser this week after their loss against Duke. So I agree with that this week. Also, Illinois, a big dropping a little bit here. Dropping a little bit this week here. Clemson, one of the biggest losers this week, losing to, 0-2 week. I think they had a loss to Boston College as well, so that's not good at all, but I still think Clemson should be in the field. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think. Let's look at our conference breakdown real quick. So here are our projected bids for each conference. The Big 10 projected to get around 8, Big 12 projected to get around 8, SEC projected to get around 6, ACC 6, Big East 5, Mountain West 4, Pac-12 3, West Coast Conference 2, American Conference 2, Conference USA 1, and the Atlantic 10 1, and obviously the rest of the conference get one bid each due to the conference championship tournaments. So that is going to do it for this video. A few things I didn't agree with. Let me know if next week you guys want me to make my own personal bracketology and break it down for you guys, because that is definitely something I am interested in doing. So let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys subscribe if you guys are new. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.